Nithin, welcome to the BlockHash podcast live. How you doing today? What's up?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Brandon. It's been a pleasure being here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you today. Where are you based? Where are you from?
So we are based in Zug, Switzerland, so which is a crypto valley.
hmm what's Crypto Valley like?
It's quite fun to be here because a lot of crypto startups here, and the regulatory environment is quite friendly.
hmm
So this is a place if you want to be a cryptopreneur.
What's the crypto regs like there? I know that crypto is treated like currency still, right?
It's still not yet treated as a currency, but the regulations are quite friendly.
hmm
And in terms of blockchain space, we do have a lot of support, especially in terms of associations, and also if you want any licenses. So those sort of things will be available, are much more accessible compared to other paths.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I've heard a lot about the Crypto Valley in Switzerland, and it's been around for a long time, huh? It's like 5, 6, 7 years, that it was established like way back in the day.
Yes, so it's been becoming popular for in the last 4 years in particular.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool. So tell me a little bit about yourself. My audience probably can be curious about who Nithin is. Like, what are you doing in crypto? How did you get here? What's your story? Tell me.
I started as a scientist to begin with. I was working with nanotechnology. Uh, I was
hmm
um, I was an expert in Monte Carlo modeling, for doing a lot of models kind of thing, and I was quite interested in finance to begin with. So I started working on the financial models and moved totally into finance. That was way back in 2011 and 2012. That was the time I graduated from my academics to the proper finance market. And I have been in this space for quite some time working with finance and also the startup ecosystem, especially in Europe and in China, where I, I was introduced into the investment banking world and started as a banker, then started investing in many projects, started from startups all the way to the IPOs and also the post-merger mergers and acquisitions. That was the thing I was doing, but still my heart was with modeling and also doing research. That's where the whole passion was. And then the crypto boom came in 2017. That was the time we, as an investment banker, started investing in them and learning how beautiful it is, how it can move forward. So then I quit my investment banking career and moved to be an entrepreneur in the crypto space and started working, especially with the fintech arena. And finally we figured out, okay, so there are several problems in the crypto arena where some of the technical challenges are still unsolved. So we tried to do as a pet project, which started as a pet project and later on evolved as a full mainstream project. So RubiX as a company, which is not very new in terms of concept, but in terms of a company, it is quite new. It's now more than 4 months old. But as a company, we started developing over 4 years till date. So several of the things which cannot be done on the blockchain, like storing the data and the transactions per second gain, these are the few things we were able to solve it, and definitely I will be able to speak more about it. And in the last 4 months, we were able to get quite a bit of traction in with the various applications on the top of Rubix, which has been built. So it's a quick background.
Yeah, so you've gone from nanotech to banking to crypto. That's kind of an interesting trajectory. What would you do in nanotech before?
I was into bio nanotechnology to
hmm
start with, where I was creating Monte Carlo models for several of the silicon chips and silicon germanium for bio nano applications, where on that particular thing, my job was to create simulations for the
hmm
Monte Carlo modeling. So what silicon Monte Carlo modeling is something where it predicts what will happen in the next step. So based on the previous analytics available. So it can be applied with any perspective. So it can be applied in finance or in biology or in semiconductors, in physics. You can apply in various things. So everything happens in the real world, which is three-dimensional, which is more difficult compared to the finance, which is the two-dimensional world.
Okay. I've never really thought about this, but is there a way to combine nanotech with blockchain in some way? Like, is there a use case there? Have you thought about that?
Nanotech, so technically it is possible, theoretically, but I wouldn't see much of applications coming up with, because nanotech doesn't really follow the rules of physics, what you have learned in the textbook. Most of the things what you have to learn, like theory of gravity, which doesn't apply in the nanotechnology.
What about like health data? I imagine you could use nanotech, to accumulate certain health data about yourself, about others, and then, use blockchain to aggregate that.
Yeah, so healthcare data aggregation is something, or data tracking is something which is quite possible. And there are certain challenges to do it. So one is HIPAA compliant. That is where the major concern comes in. So that was the problem with the blockchain, where all the data was publicly available on the ledger, so which is not really compliant. So now, having said that, but there are new masking methodologies which is coming up on the data, which is like a permission blockchain, where the transactions will be visible, but the rest of the metadata can be hidden. Only for the authorized parties can be done. So this particular application is something which on the RubiX we can definitely do it. And we are doing it for several other applications. One application which includes decentralized cloud, so where we are doing quite a bit of progress, and also decentralized identity, which in terms of the basic principle, it's the same, where you mask some of the data, which will be only permission to the particular actors who will be able to access. Rest of the data should not be accessed. So to answer your question, so there are blockchain and healthcare is definitely workable, but nano thing is something which is to be explored. I don't have an answer.
Yeah, that'd be cool to see some people explore that in the future. I bet there's some really cool use cases you could put together between nanotech and blockchain. But not to stray too far away, but let's talk about RubiX. I'm curious what you guys do. I have a lot of questions after digging into it. In fact, I'll even pull up the website because I just can, because I'm awesome. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so tell me about RubiX. What are you guys doing? Like, what's the goal? Like, what are you guys trying to accomplish?
If you look into any of the blockchains, right, technically almost every blockchain has copied the architecture of Bitcoin. So whether we like it or not, almost everybody has copied it. It's a scalar technology. What Bitcoin is a concept which has been derived from 1950s to 1980s. So all the aggregation of it, what Satoshi has done, or the team of that particular thing, people has done, is aggregating all the concepts and connecting all the data sets and the points and visualizing a Bitcoin as a concept, which is a scalar technology. But there are some critical flaws in the scalar technology, where you are limiting to several things, where you cannot store data. That is which is a severe limitation. And the second biggest limitation is the environmental friendly aspect, where the Bitcoin is a function of hashing power. So many of the other blockchains are just followed that particular path. So is there a way we would be able to solve it? That is where we begin this particular concept. And then we saw another technology which coming up called IPFS, where IPFS you shall be able to store decentralized store data. So is there a possibility? IPFS is not a blockchain. It is for distributed file ledger. Is there a way we can combine the IPFS and blockchain together? So that's what RubiX is all about. Then we saw what was the shortcoming in both the places, and we got the best of two things combined together. And then So as a result, RubiX was a product where we invented the proof of harvest methodology, which is quite significantly different than the proof of work or the proof of stake methodologies, which is consensus mechanisms, which are being used currently, most of them to begin with. Proof of work, where you are, it's the function of a hash rate, and proof of stake is like, okay, how many number of tokens you have, many of how rich you are. It is replicating the existing system, where proof of harvest is something what we have done. So currently I'm using a MacBook Air, which is not a powerful system. At the same time, I'm running a Rubik's node. It is a full node I could run on the computer, which never happened before on any blockchain. When I run this one, there are multiple things I'm doing. First, I'm mining the Rubik's coin, where I'm authenticating, or I'm acting as a notary while speaking with you. Technically, I'm not using any extra power. So where I'm on the back end, it is running, and it is my hardware is being used for data storage for somebody else, which is completely encrypted. I have no clue what that one is. So both the things we are able to do it. So you can store data and you can save the power. Technically, you don't need a miner for Rubix. Every computer is a miner, even your cell phone, or you can use a Raspberry Pi to begin with.
Yeah. So if I use my cell phone, how much of that CPU would it take up? Like, would it make my phone run any slower, or is it like really, really simple to do?
It is quite simple to do. Currently, we do have for your computer, and our nodes are available to download. Probably for mobile phone, it will be coming up very soon. Perhaps in a month or two, we shall be able to put it up on our GitHub where you can download it. So with what we have seen, it doesn't consume much of processing power. It could be less than your current applications like WhatsApp or Telegram, probably similar or even less.
Yeah, what's the biggest benefit of using proof of harvest versus something else? I know you guys have this, this blockchain green initiative, cut down on carbon emissions and whatnot. Is that like one of the major benefits of using proof of harvest?
The major benefits is transactions per second.
Hmm.
That is one thing, and the transaction fees, which is zero for the lifetime. So there are blockchains which offer the transaction cost as low as 0.02 cents or even lower, but I haven't seen anything which is completely free. That's where we thought, when you go outside and you spend with your credit card, right, you do not expect for the domestic transactions to pay any charges to begin with. So in terms of access, everything should be free. That is where we begin with. That is one part of it. And proof of harvest, why people have to use it is about the scalability. If you look into any of the DA apps, what you call, technically the applications are built either on the cloud or any other things. Only the transactions are logged on the blockchain. So the blockchain doesn't allow you to build an application on the top of it as we speak today. So most of the application are built on ERC20 or other kind of blockchains available. You are not technically using the blockchain to run your application. It is just logging the transactions. At the end of the day, you're keeping it as a registry, but you still need a cloud, you need a database, you need so many things. But on Rubix, we have a layered architecture on the protocol itself. You do not need database, you do not need middleware. All you have to do is to write an application layer on the top of our protocol. So it is possible for the next call, me and you shall be able to talk over Rubik's protocol. Our app is
Hmm.
ready. I would love to send it to you so we can have another call.
Yeah, absolutely. You should send it over to me. And I know you guys do a bunch of things with Rubik's other than that too, as well. One of them being the tokens. I've seen that you guys have a differentiation in your tokens between what's a utility token and an asset token. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes. See, The asset token is a storage of value where it can work as nothing more different than Bitcoin or Ethereum, which is storage of value. And the token hash is something, each and every token of RubiX is its own chain. Unlike, if you look into the stack, why do you need a secondary, tertiary, or tertiary scaling, right? To begin with, you can only do 15 or 20 transactions per second. It doesn't scale more than that one. If you want to do secondary scaling, what technically doing, you do have, for example, you look into a toll gate where you can only pass 15 cars at any given point of time per second. So what you're doing on a secondary scaling, in that particular car, you're stacking up multiple transactions in one thing, you're packaging it, and you're sending it inside. So where each and every every block has to be concluded before the next block starts. So this is where the scalar technology doesn't allow you to do so. Where what we have created for the token hash, each and every token will become its own toll gate, so that you do not have to wait for the one more block to conclude for the next block to start with. So if you have 10 nodes, you can simultaneously do 5 transactions on a token hash.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 10 million, you can do 5 million transactions at the same time. So we do not have any bottleneck in terms of the transactions per second. So that is how our token hashes work against the coin or storage of value.
So is the asset token more or less equivalent to like an NFT, or is that like taking an NFT to a different level in terms of what you can do with it?
NFT is something, I'm glad you have asked about NFT. Mm-hmm. So in a non-fungible token, where we already know the textbook definition of it, everybody knows that, okay, you cannot manipulate it, you cannot subdivide it. So there is quite unique, that is cool. Mm-hmm. But when you go deep into the NFT part of it, there are several bits and pieces has to be aligned and to give. Currently, the NFTs are quite limited to the digital art only, and there is no way to prove the provenance of that particular art to begin with, where you are storing, if you go to any of the NFT platforms, where you are storing a data on the centralized server, or you are using an IPFS hash, or you are storing on the cloud, and you're pointing your metadata out there. So that is what NFT is all about on the other platforms, especially the Ethereum-based ones. But on RubiX, you are directly storing the NFT on-chain. When the NFT on-chain, which is encrypted already, if you go to RubiX Market, so which is our NFT marketplace, you shall be able to see how it really works. So our NFTs are the real assets. So you can make it like, you can use it for ticketing, you can use for supply chain management, textiles, luxury industries, and movies. There is even the lottery tickets, or if you want to use it for digital art. And we do have a way to tie the physical and the digital art through our Stegano embedding technology and the unique QR code, where the QR code is the secret code which will be shared in between the physical asset and the NFT, which is physically linked. So we recently had one auction of a car which was used in Fast and Furious. So that was the world's first digital physical twin.
It's very cool. Okay, so I have a question. So how does your guys' NFT marketplace stack up against something like OpenSea or Rarible, where it's quite popular to make NFTs already on Ethereum? You know, despite all the issues and fees that are associated with that, what's the benefit of doing it on RubiX versus on a already existing popular platform?
So currently, RubiX is a premium marketplace for an NFT, where we do have several new NFTs which are coming. If you see our NFT marketplace, most of them are premium. anywhere between $50,000 to $10 million. That is our baseline. So based on the network and also based on the demand and the supply, everything with what is there on NFT marketplace on RubiX is premium only at the moment. Whereas the rest of the marketplaces are not premium. You can get NFT as low as $1 or even lower, and it can go all the way to any price. So it, those marketplaces are real marketplaces. We are keeping itself to exclusive and premium market. So that was in terms of business. In terms of provenance and the actual value of it, so all the NFT marketplaces you have mentioned, right? So there is no way stopping you to create the replication of an NFT. So you can just go right click, download the asset, and you can mint an NFT on another platform or in the same platform. There is nothing stopping you. Try to do that one on RubiX. It is impossible because you can't even access the main asset without the private keys, where we have something called the high technology, which is called high density embedding. If you can go to rubixmarket.com, so you will be able to see how the hide works. So when you click on the actual asset, the asset you see is just a blurry or some dots. Until and unless you have a private key, impossible to access.
Let me ask you this. So, since we're on the topic of NFTs, what do you think, the future holds for them? Like, do you think NFTs, are going to keep fulfilling the same types of use cases with like art and collectibles and stuff like that? Or do you think that there's like a next evolutionary step for NFTs as a token? Maybe that ends up happening through Rubix, who knows? But where do you see it going?
The artwork on the NFTs are here to stay. So because the artworks is quite an important industry, and it is not going away anytime soon. Mm-hmm. But the expansion into other industries is something which is inevitable, and it has to happen. For example, pharmaceutical industry, where each and every product, even the mask, we have seen a lot of counterfeit products which are coming in, substandard and counterfeit products, where you have no way to verify this particular thing is it true or is it something which you can trust or not, although it is coming from a legitimate source, and there is no way to prove it. So pharmaceutical industry is one thing I see the NFTs will be picking up very soon. And the food industry and the luxury industry is where you will see it. NFT is what I see the another major application will be the online streaming, which will be coming very soon, where you shall be able to sell NFT token as an entry ticket or any of the virtual assets. You shall be able to do it. And also the regular ticketing, if you want to watch baseball or any other sport or even a movie, you shall be able to use NFT as a ticketing, and including the bus tickets or even the flight tickets. Those are the places where the existing technologies are quite redundant and consuming a lot of power and inefficiency. Those things could be solved. So there is a wide array of applications which shall be available.
Yeah, I can see it highly being used in retail, especially luxury retail. I know LVMH, they're trying to do the same thing for all their products, handbags and stuff like that, through Louis Vuitton and stuff like that, to be able to what's the word, authenticate or verify like their products for like a secondary market if they want to like resell them. I see a lot of luxury companies doing that. I see a lot of retailer companies doing that because it helps validate a secondary marketplace. It solves a lot of issues with counterfeit products and stuff like that. I mean, I imagine that's going to be another huge use case for NFTs.
Yeah, so counterfeit is one product of it, and at the same time, right, what happens is there is a chance you misplace the certificates. So you might be selling one product with a mixed up certificate too. So there is a chance which can be overridden by the NFTs. So which is application I would see going forward. And counterfeits, of course, which is something which is very serious. And for example, you come from United States where 8 out of 10 liters of olive oil which is sold in the market is counterfeit. And there is no way for you to verify, are you really having olive oil, or you're having an oil which is made up by using chemicals, which is something really alarming. But if you Google it, you will know what it really is. And even honey or even saffron. So this is the real problem which has to be addressed, and it can be addressed through technology.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues, especially in America too. It'll solve a lot of problems. I'm very excited for it, and I think the future's bright. You know, overall though, for Rubik's or Rubik's chain, how does that stack up versus something like Ethereum? Is overall, is it faster? Does it scale better? Like, what's like the thing that makes it stand out from Ethereum that people should consider, like if they want to do NFTs or they want to create a token, or if they want to participate in something like proof of harvest over proof of work or proof of stake? What separates Rubix?
So to begin with, we are not, we are a company without any investors. So we did not take any token investments. We did not take any equity investments. So this is a pure project by passion, where the passionate developers and personal investments has come in from the founders, from a couple of other founders what I have. They have been quite generous in terms of putting their time, money, and their knowledge base into it. So the project, which was grown from passion towards an application where we were able to get over 40 plus corporate clients, to give a very quick stack at this point of time. So on the private blockchain of Rubik, so we have been live for over 18 months. We have over 3 million weekly active users using a couple of other applications. So we are quite, in terms of scalability, we have already proven in the private space. In the public blockchain, we went live last week. Already it has grown over 100 nodes as we speak. It is all volunteers who are coming in and doing it to begin with. So Ethereum is something which you cannot just download on your computer and start mining unless you have a huge stack of storage space and computational power and a lot of tokens you need to have to start mining or to call yourself as a validator, which is impossible. A regular college graduate, for example, he or she, they are just starting out in their career. They don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars in their pocket. So is there a way you can become a millionaire or a billionaire on Ethereum just by mining and doing coding out there? It is quite difficult, or maybe next to impossible at this point of time. The question is, can I create 10, when Microsoft went public way back in 1980s, they made 10 million millionaires, right? So for Rubix, my dream is to make 1 million millionaires who will be using the Rubix blockchain. How can they do it? Can I de-incentivize the people with power? That was the biggest question we had, and we were able to do it. So on Rubix, the way we have designed is, you put computational power, you put a quantum computer or a supercomputer, it is no different than your cell phone or your computer at home. So technically, hashing power really doesn't matter. You will be considered just as another node. So it doesn't give them an incentive to put a huge farms. If you look into the farming of Ethereum or Bitcoin, currently it is run by businesses, professional businesses. It's not done by people anymore, which is the problem we want to avoid. That is where we begin with. That was an ideology we want to begin with. And the second part of it will be the usability, where you can build applications on the top of Rubix, which Ethereum or Bitcoin doesn't allow you to do so. Where to give, when I say application, we have built one particular application called online messenger, which is called an essentials. You can make, technically, me and you can call with each other without having to go through any network, without having to go through any of the centralized servers. So it is completely peer-to-peer, and it is on the blockchain, which has never happened before. Those things are something which we have already realized, and we shall be happy to put everything on open source. We want other people to join us, and if they call it as a revolution or they call it as something which bringing value in terms of the technology or in terms of the provenance, we encourage them to do so. Like-minded people, we want them to be on board.
Yeah, peer-to-peer calling and messaging is a big deal, especially with blockchain. I've only heard of maybe one or two other, projects out there that have even considered it or worked on it a little bit, but that's very new. It's a big deal. Is that like a service or a product that you guys offer now, or something you guys want to do in the near future?
We are already offering. So some of our clients have already onboarded, and we have around 14 clients at the moment. So starting from the central governments to the military applications, those are the people who really need the secrecy, security. Those are the people who joined as our customers. And some of them you can see on our website, some of them with an NDA, we cannot publish their names. But our goal is to bring everything open source in the next 2 to 3 months, where everybody can download as an individual user, can mine on their cell phone, can speak. When recent changes with WhatsApp, where people were worried about privacy, so this is where we thought we shall be able to develop the application. Building applications on RubiX is extremely easy. The way we have done everything we have learned on the textbook, you need to concentrate on the 7 layers, and you need to write database, middleware, back end, front end. It's all gone. All you have to do is an application and front end. Rest of the things is already taken care.
I need that application. I need the government not to look into my life so much. I think a lot of us need that. That'd be a great next step in terms of communication. Other than that, though, before we wrap up the episode and everything and the live stream, what's the roadmap look like for RubiX? The rest of the year. Do you guys have anything on your timeline that's scheduled, that's public, that you want people to be more aware of, or anything that you can announce, or would you want people to keep in mind?
Yeah, so we just went live last week. That is the mainnet, which is already live. We want more number of people joining us in terms of as a miners, as application developers. We want them to engage and build on the top of it. So the good news is we already have significant interest coming from very good quality developers and also the institutions from across the globe. So one of the institution is planning to build the communication layer for their existing clientele. This is something partnership which is exciting, which we are getting at this point of time. That will be announced. And one major basketball team in United States, their marketplace will be coming on RubiX. This will be a new announcement. I cannot reveal the name until the press release goes out. And after that one, we are also coming up with a decentralized finance application, where for the first time you are able to include your digital identity to your wallet. Till date, it wasn't possible. When most of the wallets were, if you include a KYC AML, it is going to be centralized. You cannot have a decentralized wallet, decentralized way to do it. To have a KYC AML approved wallets, which was the biggest problem even for all the CBDC developments. So that is the game we have already cracked. That will be available probably in 3 to 4 months down the line. So this is something which we are quite excited about.
Geez, you guys got a lot of stuff going on, huh? A lot of cool stuff coming up. How can people keep up with all that? Do you guys have a Discord or a Telegram or a blog?
We do have a Telegram, and we also announce on Twitter, LinkedIn, and we do also have Facebook channel. Telegram, of course, it is there. And more people are
where's the best place to go?
Best place, Telegram or Twitter, or for developers, it's GitHub.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Nithin, thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast today. Really appreciate it. And dive into all the many things you guys are doing with RubiX. I'm very excited to see how that all shapes out this year. And yeah, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you, Brandon. It's been a pleasure joining you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Pleasure to have you on. Feel free to come back on in the near future. I definitely want to hear more about your updates.
Sure, perfect. Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Thank you. See you soon.